Hello and welcome guys for another standard deck tech video. This strategy was based on the deck that was submitted for MTG Goldfish. The user submitted the deck, called it as the Brokers Double Strikers, or Double Strike. And the Brokers, if you remember, is this the band colors or blue, white, green for the original color tricolor association. But on this list we did a few updates since he called it initially as the budget version of this deck strategy. We retained some of the creature choices but upgraded the lands and also a few of the non-creature spells, and probably added some mythics that was based also for the strategy of having shield counters as the basic of the Brokers clan or family in New Capenna. So we checked for the creature lineup. We have 18 creatures in this deck, 22 lands, and the rest are just walkers, instant effects, and some enchantments. So we go first with the quite the metered cards, or the deck's main strategy of double striking and finishing up opponents as early as possible. So we go with probably the star creature of this deck, Eliminator Bertuso. So it's just double strike, 2 cast for 1/1, and whenever it becomes a target of a spell you control, it connives. So given that connives is going with the Esper's build, but since the advantage here is that it can get bigger whenever you discard an unland card from the connive effect, and at the same time you have spells that puts +1/+1 counters on it, basically making it at least +2/+2 or 2 +1/+1 counters added at each instance. So 4 copies of this to make sure that your second turn are basically filled up with 2-drop with this, and along with it we go back with another 1-drop. So this is a 1 to cast 1/1 all-in box escort. So you can sacrifice the target creature you control with some counter, and it gains lifelink and it's active until end of turn. So this is sort of a support creature for your main creature beaters such as the Bertuso, and at the same time you can become a 1/1 on self-vigilance, which can also pick off some few points of damage early on if there are not really enough targets for its sacrifice ability. So with this support we also have 4 copies of Twin Blade Geist. So this Twin Geist is a 2 cast 1/1 double strike with the Storm. So if we check the Storm spell, it becomes an enchantment aura wherein the enchanted creature also becomes a double strike, and if it were to put it into graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So this benefits also with having your late game creatures enchanted with this card by just paying for its disturb costs. So early on it can become also a good beater because of its double strike ability and just a 1/1 initially, but of course again with having +1/+1 counters added on it makes it more efficient and effective in dealing huge amounts of damage. So along with it we also have the 3-drop, the Disciplined Duelist. This is probably Spara's main tricolor uncommon. It is a 3 to cast 2/1 double strike also, but it comes to play with a shield counter on it. So the shield counter makes it basically a sort of protection for damage or destroy effect protection. So it would if it would be dealt or destroyed, to just remove the shield counter on it instead. So although also a repression effect, and at the same time making sure that it can become an efficient 3-drop with its double strike ability. So in support of these creatures, I've considered to add 2 copies of Falco Spara, Pack Weaver. So we check its ability. It can give counters on it, and there's a battlefield, and also a flying trample, which is also a good evading creature that cannot be chump block. And the good thing is that it can provide card advantage by having to cast spells from the top of the library by removing a counter from a creature you control, in addition to its under cost. So that means that whenever a counter, whether it's a shield counter or just a +1/+1 counter, a flying counter, or any other counter that represents it, you can just use that counter to remove that counter to cast the top card from your library, in addition to its mana cost. So you can basically channel out or chain a few spells from the top card library, given that the instants here are basically 1 cast or 2 cast only, to make sure that they can be cast in advantage with having Falco Spara Packweaver in play. So we go with the instants as one of our main concerns as to why we have double strikers with pump effects that can make it an efficient and a good attacker. So before this, I think we'll just look for the for the 1 mana sorcery here. Put a counter on target creature control against vigilance until end of turn with flashback of 1. So basically, Homestead Carriage is basically just a very cheap creature target effect, or we can call it as a heroic effect for the Bertuso. So you can make sure that Bertuso gets some counters. In addition, and whenever Bertuso connives also, it gets another +1 counter whenever it discards a non-land card. So in this effect, you can basically just pay 1 and have Bertuso becomes a 3/3 creature, and at the same time making it deal 6 damage in the process at the least for that setup. So what is for advantage here is you can also flashback it for 1, basically chipping another cheap effect to pump out the Bertuso up to the 5/5. So that's basically 10 huge amount of damage that you can deal in this setup that the deck can explode in just basically turn 4 and turn 5. So in addition with the support, we have take out the shield. So this is just another +1 counter effect, but it also provides lifelink and indestructible. So in terms that the Bertuso might be a target for a destroy effect such as Infernal Grasp, you can just take out the shield to make it indestructible to prevent that destroy effect. In addition, you can also have cards like Verdurous Stance. This is also a multi-purpose card. You can destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater whenever there's a threat of your opponent, such as a Sheoldred. But also you can also have your creatures indestructible on turn for effects such as destroy or sweep cards such as depopulate. So for this setup, whenever you have also aggro matchups on this, the users have added Tail Swipe. So this Tail Swipe has this effect: choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If you cast this during your main phase, your creature gets +1/+1 and those creatures fight each other. So in this effect also, having also a creature early on that was pumped with those effects such as the Homestead Growth, you can just then use Tail Swipe for 1 to take out their attacker or their probable backer or their efficient threat that you may think that it can outrace your double strike creatures. So giving that it's also an instant, you can also play it at any time if needed. That's very good and making combat tricks in the process. So with this 4 copies, we also have Broker's Charm of 4 copies also. So this effect gives you 3 options for the deck. You can also have it as dealing damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker, and also destroy enchantment if needed, such as the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Myth of Massacre, and other related enchantments. That also includes enchantment creatures. And in the process, if you run out of gas, you can just basically use it to draw 2 cards. So this is probably the best charm that can take effect in this build because of these 3 options that are very relevant in most of your gameplay matchups. So with those set up, we can conclude it with the addition, which is also added Ajani Sleeper Agent. So with just Ajani, you can basically cast it for 3. But the drawback is that it will just have 2 fewer counters, but it doesn't matter, as if you are be able to curve out with these creatures, you can just hard cast it for 4, which not really a big deal anyway, because what your aim here is that you can use its -3 loyalty ability, wherein you can distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. So if ever you get to curve with your 2 double strikers, you can make them also bigger in the process with these +100 counters, and also having to benefit with the False Kuspara in the late game. So that's probably the best use of Johnny Hyenas. And another option effect of it is that you can also get a creature or planeswalker from the top card library to put it in your hand. So just that, the one way to filter out and to put the loyalty counters on it. And the last but not the least are World Time, 2 copies. So just basically the useful, just exiling target non-permanent and opponent controls that may become a threat or a good card disadvantage to your board setup. So the lands was also fixed because the budget version relied on just the top lands, dual top lands, but we instead added Sparsid Garters with 4 copies and Overgrown Farmland also 4 copies for the late game. That check lands, that making sure that you have 2 mana green and white option for your mana fix, and also the new cards from Capena. I mean from Dominaria, Wrecker Waste, the reprint for the standard, but the cost of also just having to deal 1 damage to you whenever you play it for blue or white mana if you need it. So this really basically does about it for this standard deck tech for brokers, initiatives, double strikes. If you would like to try this out for your MTG Arena or MTG Online grinding setup, or just play test it with your friends, please do so, and you can also provide a feedback on this if you have other cards in mind that would replace on this build, or what would be your observation as you play this for your daily grind or just a playtest sessions with your friends. So that's about it for this standard deck tech. I do hope you like this video. If you do, just like and subscribe, and for more Dominaria United videos, you can also check out my previous videos for standard deck techs and other Magic the Gathering related content. So that's about it for this video. Thank you for checking this one, and until the next time.